People complain I always wear black, so
Hunting season?
I just wanted to,
Well, we can see you, Commissioner, if that's any concern.
Yeah.
thank
We
you.
won't
You'll
lose
be-
you in the dark.
You'll be the standout commissioner.
There we go, yeah.
Usually.
All right, welcome everyone to the April 17th meeting of the Cook County Housing and Redevelopment Authority. I'm calling the meeting to order with a gentle tap of the gavel, as suggested. The first thing on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Oh, let the record show that we have a quorum, we have 100%
No,
attendance.
Commissioner O'Brien is absent.
Oh, what?
It's been losing weight lately.
Yeah, significantly.
Let me say that there are 4 commissioners in attendance, and we still have a quorum.
Oh,
Thank
sorry,
you.
Chair, just very briefly, I'm actually going to patch him in. He has to be attend via Zoom.
Oh.
So he's going to join us to not vote, but to participate in any discussions.
Okay. Very good. Should we wait a minute?
Yes. Oh, no, you can continue. I'll
I
let
think we
him.
can
Yeah, you
All
the
right.
agenda.
Well,
I'll move approval of the agenda.
okay.
And I will second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And then approval of the, I've got the notes going here, for the February minutes.
I'll move approval.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those indicate by, oh, there's Commissioner Hawkins. Say aye to approve the minutes.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, then we have an opportunity for public comment. In the public section, I see one person who is not here to make public comments. Thank you for joining us today. Teresa Vida, EDA Executive Director and partner of the HRA.
Sorry for being late.
We're just getting to new business. Welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Haven't seen you.
Oh, yeah. And Commissioner O'Brien has joined the meeting electronically. He can participate in discussion, but not in votes.
Commissioner O'Brien, if you have anything to ask or to discuss, please just let me know. I'll be watching, and you can flag me, and I'll turn you up here.
Okay, thank you, everyone, for being here. So, under new business, the first agenda item is statewide affordable housing aid from Cook County. And Jason has something for us about this.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to provide an update to the board. County commissioners know this. I went before a county board last week and requested that they would commit the next 10 years of statewide affordable housing aid, which is a statewide, obviously as the name implies, program that was approved last year at the legislative session. It is not guaranteed for 10 years, but it is built into statute such that it's supposed to be recalculated every biennium, as I understand it. So unless the legislature decides to change that or remove it, it's going to continue to come to the county, and the county board agreed to just pass that through to the HRA. It is for 2023 and 24, the calculation was approximately $85,000 per year. So on any single given year, obviously that's not a lot of money to make a big change in housing, but the advantage here, and we're going to see this later with one of the resolutions, is actually 2 of them, is to be able to capture that over time and then leverage that for projects. So the county board approved providing the next 10 years worth of that funding so long as they get it. And we can, like I said, leverage that over time for projects. So any questions about that? I wanted to give a little preamble there before we get into the resolutions to talk about that.
Do we need a motion to accept that?
I don't know. I mean, we could just to be,
Let's make one.
sure.
Okay, I move we accepted the money that the county board graciously is giving us from the state, who is graciously giving it to the county. But I think it's a great asset. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Only that we should be sure that all the county board knows how much we appreciate their working with us on this funding. All right, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Passes 4-0. Then, we can go to the resolution that follows in new business for the Switchback Village.
Do you want me to read the resolution, Chair?
Whatever you,
Sure. This is Resolution 24-4.
yep,
Yep. Approving providing the SAHA, the Statewide Affordable Housing Aid Funds, to Gunflint View LLC for the Switchback Village multifamily project for the purpose of reducing rents. So, like I just mentioned before, couple of things actually to clarify. One is the name. There are two things happening here. One is approving in the resolution, as it says, the ability for the developer to assign the project, the development agreement, to a new LLC, single-purpose LLC. That is, I think the resolution actually talks about, is simply a function of the equity partnership has changed. It's the same developer, same team, but they're changing the LLC to keep it clean with a previous equity partnership. So that's more of and the development agreement outlines that this is possible, but the board has to, before construction is complete, if they want to assign it, the board has to approve it. So that's what we're bringing forward today, is signing off on them signing over the agreement to this other LLC. The other thing is to agree to provide the statewide affordable housing aid over a period of 10 years, up to $40,000 a year, if we receive those funds from the state. So in other words, the language is carefully crafted to indicate if we don't get that money, we don't owe them. And the reason we want to do this, and I'm excited about this, is that essentially that SAHA money is going to be used to reduce rents in 11 of the units, 20% of the building, to 60% AMI. So this building will have 60%, 80%, and then market rate. And so 45% of the building will be at rent restriction. And this is for 10 years, which is the term that we're providing the SAHA funds. The other thing is, just so you folks know, the developer and I, of course, we're talking through this, and I pitched this idea, hey, we might, if the county board approves these funds, we might have an opportunity to sort of maximize something we already have in the pipeline. It's much easier I would rather use these funds to do something that's about to start than wait and see what may or may not happen. And we did the math, and actually it's financially maybe break even for them to do this. They probably actually are net loss for accepting the funds, but what it does for them is it mitigates some of the risk. So 51 units in Grand Marais period is a larger size, and so this way they're hitting a different market of renters, and so the bank actually likes it.
wow.
So it's, from my perspective, it's a win-win-win. We get a more mixed-use project, and it's, as long as we're providing these funds per year, they will restrict those rents. If the money is not there, for example, if the legislature decides, you know what, forget this program, or we're going to reduce it or whatever, we're not obligated to provide it, and if that happens, the rent restriction is removed on those 11 units. The original 25% of the units per our previous agreement are still in place. This is not affecting that at all. So that's the overview. Any questions about that?
I just thought it was a remarkable piece of good work, and using funds like that to increase the affordable units and also, yes, mitigate some of their risk. But I just, congratulations and thank you to you and the developer for working that out, because I thought it was really a great piece of work. And I read through the entire resolution, and I'm convinced that we're well protected if the money doesn't come out. And just a nice job. So thank you.
Thank you. It was exciting to do.
I get confused on several of the projects because they each have 3 or 4 names. And some of the names are super hard to remember.
Yeah.
Like Norriscogan. It took me a long time
Oh,
to get
yeah.
that one. So this one refers to the Sawtooth Flats project? Does that predate my?
Yes, it does. So
Okay.
originally, this was going to be called Sawtooth Flats. This is now a year and a half ago, give or take.
Yeah.
But then they recognized Sawtooth Ridges was already in town, like an apartment in town. They didn't want to confuse that.
Yep.
And so then they was Switchback Village, and then now with this LLC change, because it was Switchback Village LLC, now it's Gunflint View LLC, and the
Okay.
project is actually going to be recently changed, Gunflint View. It's going to match the LLC.
Okay.
So that's the final name. Speak now or forever hold your
There's
peace.
still a parent company.
Don't say
with a different
final.
name.
Yeah, yeah. As far as I know, it's the final name. The parent company, the developer, they're all the same.
I do think it's a real issue in dealing with the public, and when I talk to people, they're like,
Yep.
now, wait a minute, which one is, what's it called again? So, I mean, we should try to pick one, at least internally, to use amongst ourselves, so that kind of, we could all get on the same page.
Understood,
Or maybe
Commissioner.
it's just me, I don't know.
No, I've been trying to make sure that I'm intentional about it, but as their name has changed, I want to try to not continue to use previous names,
Yeah.
because then it will confuse people
Yeah,
as
no,
we're
it's-
talking about something in the.
That's fair.
like- So, as I understand it, talking with the developer yesterday or this morning, Gunflint View LLC is the entity, Gunflint View is the new department name.
And is the spelling of the apartment V-U-E?
Yes, that's a thing that developers
Okay.
do. Yes, I'm sure there was a
Not to
naming
be
committee.
confused with any other view anywhere
Correct,
else.
yes, yes. VUE, so.
Gunflint View, okay.
There's like a Bluestone View as well.
And so
in
Switchback
Duluth.
Village is,
Nah.
It's old news,
Okay.
Commissioner, yeah.
All right.
yeah.
And
Same,
that's good to
Yeah.
know, I didn't understand that from reading.
it's
it.
the same, to be clear, it's the same exact building, it's the same
Yeah,
builders,
yeah.
and everything, the only thing that's changed is the confusing name, so. Apologies for that.
And they'll probably come up with a couple more names before we get there. but-
They're running out of time. Groundbreaking is supposed to happen in May, maybe June at the latest, so we will keep you apprised of that as
Excited
well,
for
because we
that.
want to have a groundbreaking actually on site, and they're looking forward to that as well.
I move approval of Resolution 24-4.
Is there a second to the motion?
Yes. Second.
Olson? Any further discussion? I would just add to Commissioner Gabler's comments, what a brilliant and creative use of a small amount of money to have such a huge impact. 11 apartments at 60%, that's amazing.
Very helpful.
All right. Without any further ado, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0. Next is Resolution 24-5, authorizing the executive director to enter into an agreement with Duval Companies to provide up to $180,000 of SAHA and a $20,000 grant to support an application to Minnesota Housing Finance Agency for the Workforce Housing Development Program. Jason.
Yes, Chair. You can see that the SAHA was sort of a linchpin in some of these resolutions. So I like to get the packet out the Wednesday before, but it was out Thursday because this kind of happened last minute last week with county's approval. So again, this is similar intent here is to leverage the SAHA over time. Again, right now the calculation is $85,000 a year, so I wanted to at least leave a little margin. With these two combined, it's $30,000 and $40,000, so $70,000 is the total leverage amount. Again, it's the same spirit here. If the county through the state doesn't receive enough to cover both projects, we have the right to talk with both properties about a reduction in what, like negotiate that, or we can terminate that requirement. This is so there are two pieces of resolution. Obviously, there's 6 years of $30,000 to create that 180 of statewide housing aid, and then there's a $20,000 grant that we have from some development levy development projects that we already have. It's from the 2024 levy. So that creates an additional $200,000 that we can use as local match. That just yesterday I finalized. I think to Commissioner Sullivan's point, I think finalized, maybe not final, but the narrative and the application for this grant. And we're going to be asking for approximately $1.3 million through the EDA. They're the conduit for this grant. And that's due at the end of the month. So the developer and I are sort of down to, the last stretch here of getting the materials together. But this will enable us to, the wonderful thing about this particular program is this $200,000 leverages $400,000 additional from the state because it's 2-to-1. So we're trying to capture as much locally as we can to get more from the state. We feel really good about the odds and the project, and this is sort of the last piece of the puzzle to get to that 1.3. So any questions about it, I'm happy to talk about them.
What's this one gonna end up being called?
This is actually the opposite problem. We have not had any name this whole
No
time,
name.
so we don't know yet.
So far, just 1800 West.
It's just the address at this point, yeah. I think they're hesitating until.
Creative, but it says.
Commissioner O'Brien, do you have a question?
Yeah, I did. So on the projects that are funded with the MHFC, my understanding from a conversation earlier today with the Center for Energy and Environment is that a stipulation of projects that multifamily projects that receive funding from the MHFC is that they have certain energy performance requirements, and in particular, they are required to comply with Energy Star multifamily standard. And so I just want to confirm that that is the case and would apply to this project. And if so, it sounds like the Minnesota CEE group is experienced with the business of modeling these projects, so that just to confirm that that they meet the criteria for MHFC. So are you familiar? Does that resonate with your understanding of the funding does then trigger Energy Star criteria for the project?
Commissioner, two things. One, the grant application, if we're selected for that award, they will stipulate in the grant agreement all of those requirements. Where the developer's aware of those requirements from the state. They've done applications through MHFA before, and they're actually planning and building into their cost above and beyond that. They're looking at geothermal on that site. They're looking at other ways to wire for solar. So, yeah, this developer is aware of those requirements, and they're already built into at least the projected costs.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, great question.
Just wanted to make sure that was applied.
Yep, thank you. Any other questions about this resolution?
I'll move approval of resolution number 24-5.
And a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The next piece of business is the EDA loan for Gunflint View.
Apologies, sure, like I said,
AKA
the name
switchback.
change was pretty recent, so the agendas went out before.
Before the.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm practicing.
Yes, thank you. So I just wanted to let the board know that yesterday at the EDA meeting, the EDA approved you recall several months ago, I notified the board that there was a pretty decent funding gap with the Gunflint View, formerly known as three other things. Since then, we've been trying to figure out how to plug that gap. The resolution you just passed plugs the 400,000 plugs a really nice chunk of it. And then the EDA approved yesterday a $200,000 construction loan for the project at 2% interest for 3 years. So it is truly a patchwork quilt project, but every little bit, especially the low interest nature and the deferred payments, really helps. So the developer's very appreciative. And again, I just want to let you know that was approved. And so, again, whether it was last night or this morning, talking with him, they are ready to go. So they just checked with the city yesterday, I think, or the day before, about making sure their building permit was still good. And now they're just working on staging and how they're going to approach the project. So barring a force majeure, which is still it's still possible for sure, so I will breathe later. But right now, barring anything else, we will see some trees and other things happening. In May is the target date. So when I have more info about that on a groundbreaking and sort of media thing, I will let you know. I'm working closely with them. So.
And that loan is direct from the EDA to the developer?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and the EDA, as you well know, has been a great partner with this and other projects. So it's been great to be working with Teresa Baida on that, and the EDA has been super supportive.
Mm-hmm.
And they had some funds available to do something like this, and they were happy to support it, so.
And so, as I stated previously regarding the county board, please let the full EDA board know how appreciative we are of their partnership in this project.
You can also pat yourself on the back if you want to.
Okay.
Any questions about Gunflint View? Okay.
I think you should tweet it or X it or whatever it is.
I don't have any of the tweets or the X's, but please feel free.
No, I'm just joking.
Okay, then. Next on our agenda is the draft levy request, which where, is it in here?
Yep, Chair, it's in your packet. It's on page 45. They're not numbered, I apologize. I can tell you where it is, though. Where did it go?
It was number 50 on the one I was looking at.
So it's right after you, there it
I
is.
printed off.
Nope, I apologize. There are a
I
lot
saw
of
some
exhibits
numbers,
attached here.
But, yeah.
It is in here. I gave it to Commissioner Gabler already, unless we took it out of this one. It is did other folks get it in their packets? Okay.
Page 50 in
Is
the
it-
packet.
it's
Page
page-
50 in my
Okay, that's
packet.
what I thought. Can I pull it up on mine? and share
There's
it
a
with you,
good
Chair?
reason why I can't find it.
Yeah, I don't know where it
It's
is in
not
yours.
here.
That's odd. I'll share it with you here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Did you have a question, Commissioner O'Brien?
No, I just wanted to confirm it's on page 50 of the packet.
Okay.
50.
Yeah, I have the financials, but not the, okay, thank you. Sorry for the,
Yes, thank you.
Here we go. So this, kind of incredibly, even though it's just April, we already have to get a draft budget together, or levy request rather, both. And this year, I believe the county's changed its process a little bit. It's due a little earlier this year, so by the end of May, we need to submit it to the auditor's office. And so we have a little bit of time, but I wanted to get ahead of it and get obviously just a draft as I was thinking about it before you, so that we have a month to make so many tweaks you want to make before we submit it to the county. If you have any thoughts or questions, happy to entertain those too. I should say, so there's one line item that has changed more substantially, and that is the Affordable Unit Preservation Fund. And it's at $70,000. $75,000, and it didn't exist last year. And this is for a very specific purpose. So this ties in with something later on our agenda, but this is probably an appropriate time to talk about it. I have been working closely, as you know, with the owner of Harborview, the new owner, in trying to come to terms on how we can help encourage them to maintain Section 8 units in that building. As everybody knows, that contract is expiring in next June, 2025, at the end of June. But they will notify HUD within the next, I think, month or so that they do or do not intend on renewing that contract. And their indication is they do not. So, since learning that, and this was obviously an issue that the community and the HRA was concerned about, I have been talking with them about how we can help them maintain those. And we've reached a sort of set of draft terms. And the owner is aware that I'm talking about this with the board today because we're kind of at that impasse where we need to decide how we're going to proceed. Generally speaking, the terms are that the HRA, if we would like to pursue this, will provide $350,000 to help directly with and reimburse upon improvements to the structure of the facility itself. Updating, it's an older building, so updating kitchens, siding, windows, those sorts of things. So there's a list of eligible costs, and then we would also keep what the royal we, call a landlord mitigation fund. So essentially, it's a $50,000 escrow money in the event that there are damages caused by Section 8 tenants, that we would help above and beyond their rent deposit. So every tenant has a deposit, security deposit. If there's something in excess of that, then we would use this fund to help repair some of those damages. It is a tactic we can use to encourage people to open up units for Section 8 housing. It's an insurance policy, basically. So in exchange for the $350,000 in this mitigation escrow fund, the owner will commit to maintaining 22 units of the 31 for Section 8 tenants, senior affordable tenants. If they have issues, their big concern, frankly, is, and he and I talked at length about this week, the wait list for Section 8 is approximately 18 months long. So right now, the tenants, most of the tenants, as I understand in that building, do not actually have vouchers, tenant vouchers. They're part of a rural development fund program. So the building, the best way to put it is not rural development. HUD has a budget every year for that building, and it covers rents for the tenants because of how it was funded. That's what's, the HAP contract is not getting renewed. That's what's not getting renewed. So, without getting too deep in the weeds, the point is, when the contract expires, each of those tenants will now be given what's called an enhanced voucher. They will be part of the Section 8 program. They're not right now technically. The issue is attrition happens, people move, or if the tenants leave for whatever reason, it is difficult to get more Section 8 tenants to fill the vacancy because there's an 18-month wait list. So their biggest concern is they do not, understandably, they don't want to have, if for whatever reason, 3 or 4 or however many tenants leave, and they can't get people to fill that. If it's restricted, if it's only a Section 8 user, then they'll have vacancies for they don't know how long. And that doesn't work for their performance, it doesn't work for business, obviously. So the terms, which again, I'm telling you now so that if you're interested, I will draft them into more of a formal agreement for your review. But this is that next stage before they formally notice HUD about their intent. The arrangement is they will start with 22 units. As those units become vacant for whatever reason, they have to market those explicitly for Section 8 for 45 days. And then if they don't get any interest, and the HRA can also, we're going to say, hey, check Harborview for, and I'm talking with my colleagues in Duluth as well. They manage the vouchers, by the way. Duluth HRA manages all vouchers for Cook County. So anybody who's on their wait list or is looking for a unit is eligible to bring that up here. The issue, of course, and I've been telling public health and the tenants there is get on the wait list. They're going to get a voucher automatically, I learned from HUD. So they're covered. They're going to get that voucher, and if they want to stay, they can use that voucher to stay. It's really about future tenants who want to be in that building, who are eligible. They need to have a Section 8 voucher. So I know it's long-winded. I'm sorry, it's complicated. But the trade-off is 22 units will be reserved. If they have issues leasing them because there aren't eligible tenants, they can temporarily have a lease for market rate for that unit until another one opens up, which they make Section 8. And I'll outline all of this in the language, but that's the overview. Commissioner, you had a question?
Jason, in the case of those tenants that are there now that will get vouchers, are they able to port those vouchers to a new development somewhere else?
No, that is one of the tricks, is that the enhanced vouchers are for this particular property.
Okay.
So if they don't want to stay at Harborview, they have to get, and I've been trying to communicate this to tenants and management, if they don't want to stay there, they need to get a voucher they need to get on the list in Duluth.
Okay.
To move their voucher.
But the voucher would stay with the project?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's HUD's way of transitioning buildings when they become quote market rate or they don't renew that contract. Everybody gets an enhanced voucher, technically can pay a little bit more than the normal voucher. So they all get one automatically if they choose to stay, but once they leave the building, they have to go through the normal voucher process.
It'd be a pretty good incentive to stay.
Yes, and I've had
Realistically.
a number of tenants reach out and ask. I'm not exactly concerned about it because I've had people from across the state actually ask, can you help me port my voucher to Grand Marais? And the reality is anybody who has a voucher, if there's an open unit, is eligible to transfer that voucher to an area. They need the HRA to help them facilitate that. It would be Duluth that are working with. But anybody that's on the Duluth wait list, and actually, Director Bayou, you can correct me if my numbers are wrong here, but it's about 85 vouchers that are not being used right now in Duluth because there aren't units. It's not that they don't have the vouchers, it's that there's nowhere to put them. So I'm not entirely, and I expressed this and we talked through this with the owner, I'm not very concerned that they won't be able to fill them, but they're also trying to hedge because moving from Duluth to Grand Marais is a move. And people have their network and their, support network and their community and their family are all there, or jobs or whatever. That's a pretty big decision to make. So we're just trying to provide a little bit of cushion for them. Ultimately, what the agreement will say is they can get down, like the minimum they have to maintain a Section 8 units is 10 units. And this is for 12 years. So it's 22 units for 12 years. They can get down to 10. If they get close to that number, they need to talk to the HRA and we need to negotiate like what's going on and negotiate in good faith how we can address the issue. But we're building in timeframes. They have to market it at this long, and if they don't get that, So I'll lay it all out, but that's the gist of it. So bringing it back to the budget, That $350,000 has to come from somewhere. There are three mechanisms. One, and Commissioner Sullivan, you're aware of this, Senator Hochschild introduced a tax bill in that, because I've been working with him for a number of months on this, and that is an allocation of $250,000 for preserving senior affordable housing in Grand Marais. That is Harborview. If that goes through the tax bill and comes out unscathed, that's the lion's share of the amount we need, thus the $75,000 amount in the budget. The other sort of option is One Roof is set to close on Birchwood with Minnesota Housing in June or May of next year. When they close, we get $250,000 back from the loan that we gave them. That's mechanism number two. The third option is if neither of those work for some reason, which would be unlikely but possible, then we would have to, and we would know this, for example, if the tax bill doesn't go through, we'll know that in a month or so, give or take. We would have to go back to the county board and request a change before the final budgets are set, request a levy change explicitly for this project to preserve these units. So that's the last course that I want to take, but I just want to be transparent about, like, we're counting on these two vehicles to get there. That's the only way we could find a path forward to preserve these units in the building. So, any questions? That was a lot, I know.
Good work.
Yeah, way.
It's been a haul.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I
I
was-
only have one question, because I think I heard you say Hochschild's bill is for $250,000,
Correct.
and the loan back from One Roof would be $250,000, and we're entering an agreement with Harborview for $350,000,
Mm-hmm.
but 75 and 250 is
Don't equal
325, so
Chair, your math is correct. We should have some rollover funding, and the two things, the One Roof has not yet fully used their 250, and so and whatever's they do.
you have the answer, whatever.
Math.
You're aware, yeah, you're aware.
Yes,
That's
yes.
what she's asking.
I am aware. We should be able to, especially with some other, we'll see what projects completely come to fruition, but this
I
should get
trust
us
you.
where we need to go.
I trust you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to.
And if there is an issue, by the way, frankly, if there is an issue, come next May, I will just negotiate with the owner, and maybe the number of units has to get
Change
reduced
the
or something
number
if
or
we don't have the full 350. But that's the aspirational target. That's the most that they were willing
Okay.
to commit to, so that's where I wanted to meet them.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Commissioner O'Brien, did you have a question?
No, just to commend you. It was
Oh.
really nice work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd just point out the importance of what Jason has done here is providing, and we've done, is provide three different options to solve this problem. It's the same approach as having 5 balls in the air at a time of development possibilities so that one of them will hit. And that's really the way to run this business. And I just think
Yeah.
we keep learning that, and but we need to recognize it too. But
Which tax bill is that 250,000 in? Is that the Johnson Economic
No, Commissioner, it's actually,
Stabilization Fund, or?
it's a specific to Cook County, I believe.
It is.
I don't remember the name of it, but it includes things like money for the playground in Grand Portage. It includes some.
Yeah.
$160,000
part of it.
for the Grand Portage Playground, $200,000
It's
for Cook County
mining.
Higher Ed.
Right,
It's
right,
all.
yeah.
It's going through IRRR.
I read that, yeah. It
Yep.
sort of passes through IRRR, but the legislature designates it. It's
through the Douglas Johnson.
Economic
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Stabilization.
Oh, is that what they're-
Fund. That's where
okay.
the money comes from.
The fund is called Douglas.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That was
And
my
if you
question.
want the tax bill number, it's Senate File 5158.
Thank you. I have it in my inbox somewhere, but I couldn't remember which file it was. There's a lot of files this year.
Oh, there are.
So that's the big picture on Harborview. My intent, I think I'm getting a sort of nod of approval to go down this path. I told the owner, my intent is to then, I'm going to draft an agreement for him with all these terms. We have the terms drafted, but we'll put it in a document, and then I'll bring it to the board in May for your review and see where we go from there. Commissioner O'Brien, do you have your hand up, or?
No.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that's okay. You can
Do,
move your.
but it's not for any reason.
He's bidding on an online auction.
Oh, you're bidding on eBay. Understood. Yeah. Multitasker. Commend you.
So, are there any other questions about the draft levy request?
Thank you, yeah, I got sidetracked with that.
That's okay.
But
No?
Well, I guess I have a question about support staff salary, half-time. Is that our accountant? And then that's just, are you thinking about hiring somebody?
So Commissioner, that was at the request of the board last year.
Okay.
We put it in the event that we need to, honestly, and the Director Biden and I have talked about this too, because the EDA is in a similar position. We've talked about having a staff person that is half between the HRA and EDA. We've talked about just using these funds to contract with somebody at 1099 or something to help, especially as we're getting more and more grants.
Yep.
And more projects. It's more of a insurance policy, if you will. I included it because it was there last year. I'm happy to take it out. That's up to the
I'm
board.
not in support of it. I
That's
just
up
wanted
to the
to
board.
clarify what it was.
That was
Yeah,
the
I think
intent.
you're going to find you need that. So.
Yeah, you'll see
You may have
bookkeeping
found it already.
services further down.
Oh, I see, yeah, there it is.
And yeah, we included the $25,000 for support staff last year, largely at the recommendation of Commissioner Mills, who was concerned for both organizations to
Sure that-
have only one person.
I share that concern.
Yeah,
As
so,
do I.
so far, both of our executive directors have indicated that at this time, it would not be helpful for them to have support staff, but when the day comes, they're gonna be ready to tell us. So it's for that future need, whenever it should arise. And, you know, as Commissioner Gabler has said, if, how many of those balls fall to the ground and we have projects underway and whew, it could very well change our needs for personnel, so.
Excellent.
Chair, the only other thing I want to point out was the increase in audit services. This is due to the actual cost of the audit that we had projected or allocated 15,000 last year, and the cost is actually approximately 18 for 2023 audit, so I'm just presuming that will continue next year.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everything is more or less the same.
And so,
No action is required on this, just information.
My question would be if, I guess this is informational, and if folks have specific things you want to change, please email me or we can talk about it. I wanted to get something in front of you so we have something to respond to, so that we're ready by May.
okay, so we don't have to approve this until our May meeting?
Correct, yep. But I wanted to
Okay.
get ahead of it a little bit so you have time to think about it.
So we can think
Appreciate
about
it.
it and you
Yeah, of
can
course.
think about it and,
I'm not going to think about it again until you tell me you want to change something,
oh, okay. It is what it is.
unless you say otherwise.
Okay. Very good. Well, it looks good to me. I think it's very appropriate.
Okay.
All right, then. Well, the next thing on our agenda is the annual performance review. And before I begin to talk about the review, I want to say happy anniversary.
Thank you.
2 years.
That's wild.
2 years here with us at the HRA. And, you know, I meant to bring cupcakes or something. Like, I don't know, I have a paper clip, I don't know. I
Well,
have,
thank you.
like-
No one's been so kind. I'll take them back.
Actually, I do have something else for you.
Cupcakes.
This is an amazing moment in time. Okay. All 5 board members participated in your annual performance review. There are 10 areas of your work that are rated numerically. A score of 1 is fails to meet expectations.
Do they get 10 out of 100?
These guys don't
Wait
know.
for it,
Nobody
wait
knows
for
how, nobody knows how to write a 1. 3 is meets expectations,
Oh, I was misunderstanding.
and 5 is exceeds expectations.
Got it.
So, 10 areas of work, 5 commissioners, 5 possible maximum points, total points possible, 250. Total points scored, 250.
Wow. I was really anxious there for a minute. I did not know where you were going.
Don't let it go to your head.
I don't have time.
Well,
Well, thank you.
so
I hope to earn that.
succinctly, you exceed expectations.
Well, the problem is here now, I've set a certain bar, and if I don't continue that bar, I'm my own worst enemy here.
You are.
Trouble for next year.
God. That is very
We're
helpful.
right behind you.
Yeah. No excuses, guy.
And we should point out, there was no collusion among the
Yeah.
commissioners in
Not-
that. We all did ours individually.
Everyone did theirs and sent them to me, and one day I sat down and I started writing. I was like, oh my gosh. Fabulous.
Thank you. That's very humbling, and I endeavor to keep it up.
You earned it.
I will
100%.
continue to try to get things done.
Commissioner Hawkins.
I would just like to share, I rarely go on Facebook, but somebody will alert me that you should check out what's written there, and there was comments about Jason Hale,
What'd I
and
do?
what a rock star.
Oh,
he
cool.
And I
That's
thought,
awesome.
if you win over the Facebook crowd, you know what? You have made it in Cook County.
Commissioner, I am not counting on that. I've seen other Facebook posts that don't quite agree, so don't worry. Social media can bolster and humble you all at one time. But that's great feedback. Thank you. I don't read Facebook for various reasons, but that's really great feedback. Thank you.
I would add that your interviews on WTIP, I think, are
Vastly helpful to keeping the
Oh, good.
community. Both good work by you, clear, thorough, but also good work by them.
Yeah.
And a really good reporter that really knows what she's talking about and what to ask and digs in, and they're just excellent.
I have to commend
think it
them, by
helps
the
a
way,
lot.
too, that we go in there and it's supposed to be 30 minutes and it's like 49 minutes. So they have to go back and cut. And they say, we'd rather have to do that than not enough. So I really
it's
appreciated
really
them
good, yeah.
asking the questions. If we have a chance to, like you've said often, tell our story and not have other people do it, I'd take that every time. And all we have to do is tell the truth.
Yeah.
It's like the easiest job ever
Yep.
is to go and tell the truth. It's great. So I'll keep doing it if they ask.
Very
In
valuable.
fact, that was one of the comments in the discussion with the Personnel Committee, that you face those questions regardless where they come from, with honesty and truth, without being defensive, because you don't have to defend the truth.
Yeah.
It is the truth.
It's a lot easier to explain than defend. And I just feel like I have to explain.
And you do it very well.
And I tell you this all the time. I told you yesterday, I have the best board in Cook County. No offense, everyone else. It makes this job so much more enjoyable, honestly. It makes it so much more enjoyable. So I would have said that irrespective of the scoring and all of that. You know that. I really believe it,
You
so
have
thank
said
you.
that before.
So thank you.
Commissioner Sullivan, any remarks before I make a motion?
I just want to, on behalf, I had an opportunity to sit in because Commissioner Hawkins was unavailable, and the process was handled very professionally. I appreciate the time that the commissioners took to complete the performance review, and again, just everybody feels so positive, and not just this board, but the county board really supports all the work that you've done, so
Great.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Now we just need to celebrate in a couple months.
With shovels in our hands. Commissioner Olson, remarks?
Outstanding in your field.
Yeah.
I'm starting to sweat.
You have more?
No.
Commissioner Gabler?
I just echo
You did. Yep.
Commissioner Olson.
Oh, yep.
Outstanding, really.
Thank you.
And we're blessed, is my turn of it.
Blessed.
Mhm.
Commissioner O'Brien?
Sorry, Commissioner.
After him, yeah.
I'll just echo, what others have said. I mean, I think that, Jason, you've met expectations, and then seemingly I can just think of many examples where you had a full plate of stuff, full set of projects on your plate already that were ambitious, and then, I'm thinking of the Birchwood Apartments as an example that was somewhat out of scope and came up, and nevertheless, that problem got solved as well. And so it's really been a joy to watch and to participate in.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner. Enough
So-
of that.
All that being said, I am going to make a motion that effective with the next pay period, whenever that is,
Tomorrow,
okay, effective tomorrow.
or Friday.
It begins, whenever the next pay period begins, that we instruct our bookkeeper or the county or whoever needs to make this happen to adjust Jason's salary to $95,656 as budgeted and approved in our 2024 levy request. And I would look for a second.
I'll second that motion.
I'm confused. That's already the,
Oh, did that happen on January 1st?
I don't know, Chair. I think it
Well,
did. I
that's
think it was
interesting.
effective of the, thank you, regardless. I
Well-
think it's already happened.
Because it was in the budget. Oh, that's too funny. Well, I'm going to make my motion.
It was in the 2024 budget, yeah,
In
so
the
it was the
24?
beginning of the fiscal year
So you
2024.
did do that at the beginning of the year?
Correct. But I thank you for the sentiment, that's very generous.
How am I supposed to?
We're not taking it back. I'm grateful for that.
Thank you.
Well, then my motion isn't necessary, I'll rescind it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Then we have another motion.
I'd recommend that we approve a bonus for Jason Hale of $6,000 grossed up by 38%.
No. Oh, 6?
Excuse me, 5,000.
Okay.
This is the committee's action, and I've already forgotten exactly what the number was.
Okay.
$5,000 grossed up by 38% to $6,900, which will include the benefits. That's where the 6 came from.
Yes. So the net bonus to Jason is 5.
Yes.
And the other payroll.
And he gets
burden is
benefits
added
on
on
it.
top from the.
I will sort through the mechanics of that after I wrap my head around that, and work with
You
whomever.
didn't do that on January 1st.
No, I didn't, did not include that anywhere.
Well, I'll second that motion.
All right, any further discussion?
Let's do it.
I only would add at this point that we have benefited in the last year, even in the last month. Jason has brought nearly $1 million to Cook County from the IRRB, and something from Lloyd K. and something from somewhere else, and I don't know what the grand total is of the money that you've leveraged from outside the county. Do you know that number off the top of your head?
It depends on how Minnesota housing goes.
Okay. But in any case, $1 million. Clearly, this bonus is well-deserved and very well-earned.
Thank you.
So, that said, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And then we're going to move on to Jason doing some more work. The director's report.
Okay, getting my head back in the game, as they say,
Well,
Chair.
and I think that's absolutely, I just want to say it very publicly, and I hope all of you will agree, adjusting your salary on January 1st was the right thing to do.
Well, I think that was with just how we budgeted the.
Yep, it was in the budget for 2024, and the year began, and so there we have it. Thank you for your diligence.
I just assumed that this would happen, so I had it done right, thank you.
It's all good. It's
Okay.
all good.
So, a few things to report on, additional things. As the chair just said, we received $955,000 through IRRB. Also would like to celebrate the EDA received $800,000 plus a demo grant of $75,000. So Cook County should be celebrating generally. On top of course, the $500,000 we got for Gunflint View. Gosh, I'm gonna have to get used to that. Last year, that body has brought some wonderful resources to our community. So I just, every chance I get, I like to thank them and make good on the projects they're helping to fund. So
And any or all of you could send an email to Commissioner Ida Rukavina and give her.
I
your
definitely
personal
encourage it.
thanks.
Will do.
I did it, and I'm glad I did.
So aside from that, those three projects that we submitted for, again, all received some level of funding. None of them got the full ask, and I think I'd explained to the board before, it was oversubscribed over almost 2 to 1, that housing grant program. I am,
And just also significant of note, the 900 and whatever we got was it from a total available to the whole IRRB service area of 5 million. So we got nearly 20% of what was available. That's stellar.
and I believe we're still the only jurisdiction who had more than one project. So it was really wonderful that they were willing to work with us on that.
We had 3 projects in before anybody else had any, and that's showing heads up ball is my view of it, and that helps to keep things moving. So, thanks.
I know that if we can be kind to funders, they can be kind to us, so we try to open communication and get things to them early and often. Bjorkberg is one of those, and so just to get your heads around the future of this, we just got a cost estimate back today for earthwork excavation. It's higher than, of course, it's higher than they wanted. It's about $1 million. So they have a couple more bids they're waiting on, and we'll see where that lands.
Are they rebidding wasn't that the project that got the $600 a square foot?
That was for that construction.
Jim?
Yeah, that was from a GC.
So are they doing that
Correct, they're doing that all over again.
all over again?
But this
Okay.
is, so
This
they
is for the
they issued in
earthwork,
the Cook County News Herald last Saturday, or 2 Saturdays ago. This is part of the IRRR process too, so they have to publicly bid those. So both Bjorkberg and the Heights are issuing those in the paper to request those bids per their agreement that we're going to have. We don't have the documents back from IRRR yet, but I communicated with their staff and we were okay with proceeding because it's construction season, so people want to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
But this is the case with both the Heights and Bjorkberg. I'm going to be bringing development agreements that will stipulate, they will have, just like, Gunflint View, just like Gunflint, it will have attached to it the IRRR agreement as a reference. We're going to basically be passing along to them all the requirements that this IRRR puts on us, along with a grant match for the Heights. So part of the application to IRRR was including that the HRA would be providing some match dollars. That's how we got to ask for the 630. Obviously, because the amount that they're receiving is less than we were hoping to get, I'm trying to plug holes in all 3 of these projects, and I think I have it sorted. So the final amount to come is going to need some tweaking, but it's going to be approximately 175 for each that we still have in American Rescue Plan funds that we've been reserving for these projects. So, putting that on your radar, I'll be coming next month with the agreements and those grant. It's going to be very similar to the Gunflint View process. The other thing, just briefly about the Heights, I just talked with Administrator Roth and Yorkie, Administrators Roth and Yorkie. We have a standing meeting before this, and the abatement requests that the county preliminary approved a maximum for the Heights, and the city approved basically pursuing abatement for the Heights. Those are going to be coming from the developer directly to each body in the next couple of months here, and the HRA is just going to be a support capacity there. It's an agreement. I think they're going to do a tri-way agreement, 3-way agreement, city, county, and developer. And the city council is actually just finalizing their abatement, I think tonight, right now maybe even. They're doing a workshop as we speak about their abatement policy and what kind of projects, and I think they're going to limit it to housing, as I understand it. That's the going theory here. And
For the city.
For the city, correct. And that they're, I think importantly, that one of the things I want to make sure is that people who are asking for these types of resources are working with either the EDA or the HRA and their projects. So,
Perfect.
more to come on that, but those abatement agreements are going to be coming in the next couple of months after these development agreements come. Okay, 1800 West Highway 61, the no-name project. Like I think I mentioned, that application we're just finalizing that, dotting the i's and crossing the t's. We're going to be asking for about 1.3 million from the state of Minnesota. And the resolution you just passed allows us to maximize that ask. If that we will find out in August. That's the timeline for an award. If we do get that award, it will be a spring 2025 construction. It's just too late for obvious reasons to then pursue it. So,
Yeah.
Any questions about that project?
Do we know the rents that are
Yes.
anticipated?
tentatively, yes, the span of the rents is going to be between 60 and 100% MI, depending on the unit size.
Okay.
What we're waiting on is, I mean, it all comes down to what Minnesota Housing.
If they get that.
Yeah, exactly. If they don't get the award from Minnesota Housing, the project's not happening. If they do, it depends on how much, and then ultimately it comes down to total build cost and bids and such. The workforce, this program is, doesn't actually, it discourages, if I can say, rent restrictions, because the point is to build workforce market housing in rural communities who can't build it. So in the application itself, one of the narrative pieces of the questions that I had to address was, who are you trying to, like, what's the workforce you're trying to provide housing for? And so I talked, for example, with the director of human resources at Bluefin Bay and the hospital about different wages for different staff to really try to provide a spectrum, from the, line cook to the registered nurse, because the workforce needs are all over the place. So we want to, and the developer actually actively wants to keep it at a wider range to provide a little more opportunity, but we'll see in August. So more to come on that. Harborview, already talked about that, the three options for funding, and just again want to keep you apprised that if we do have to go because the other two aren't happening to the county board, I just want to make sure that you have an appetite to do that for this one-time request for very specific use. I'm very much tracking and aware of concerns around budgets in the county and the residents on levies and so on, and I understand that, so I want to be conscientious of that. But this would be the purpose for it. So, in other news, I'm almost done. Pilot program, the Envelope and Energy Improvement Program launched. We have 9 applicants. 3 of them have turned in their information, just met with the team on Monday, and now they're walking through the grant application piece. So working out the kinks, as they say, because it's new for everybody. But I think we won't have a problem spending the $20,000 that we've allocated for that. And so far, it's been good feedback.
And how much was that? A maximum of how much? 5?
$5,000 per project.
Per project?
And I believe that 2 of the 3 who have gotten some materials application materials to the county are income qualified, so they're earning below the level, so it's a 100% grant for them.
Nice.
To replace some bad windows. So just want to give you an update on that. It's active, it's happening. And just to be clear, it's the list of eligible people is we already have reached that list. So I just like to reiterate for the public, that was part of the Healthy Housing Initiative the county did last year. And if this pilot goes well, we want to continue it and open it for future applicants as well. Last 2 things. North Skogan, I just put it on this list because Commissioner Hanson had actually informed me of this project several weeks ago. And if you hadn't heard, I think it made WTIP news. Paper 2. It is a single-family affordable project that is on the east side of town. And it is actually a single person, soon-to-be resident, as I understand it, who has really appreciated the welcome that she's received from Cook County, wants to invest here, and is sort of a wonderful thank you, is sort of at her own cost and time producing this project. And it is, I believe it's going to be 12 units of, the target is to sell the homes at about $225,000. That's probably going to have to flex a little bit. But they're working, it's a beautiful thing, I think, actually, as it proceeds. They're working with a local contractor who is going to also train some apprentices underneath them and use this project to help train carpentry. So building more affordable houses, selling them at break even, like there's no profit motive here. I also commend Kim Wolf with Wolf Realty. She's doing this also at gratis, just to help it because it's a good project. And so I wrote on behalf of the HRA a letter of support for the variance they needed from the city. Those were approved at Planning Commission, and I believe if they haven't been approved at council, they'll be on the agenda the next council meeting. And
there was a kind of a technical issue with how a procedural issue. With one of the variances.
Correct.
It's going to be, it doesn't look like it.
Apologies. Thank you. Yeah, Ms. Wolf let me know that there was a question about one,
the city attorney raised an issue. They have to go back and do it properly, but.
My understanding is it's more of a form or formality and a process question. And I don't think there was a lot of concern about the particular request, as I understand it. But that's, I welcome all generous philanthropists who want to come in and build affordable housing. Please come. This is not competition. You are more than welcome. And Kim Wolf and the owner know that we stand ready to if they need assistance.
I'm just sitting here contrasting this with Duluth and their experience with the people of similar means, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, it's nice to see.
I believe that the owner in question is more of an Eggs Benedict person, as I understand it. So, any questions about Nora Scogan? Okay, moving on. The last item. Just a date question. Auditor Powers informed me that we were going to be in the ITV room in July. I think there's court or something just going on here. Now the auditor is going to be taking over that room when our meeting is supposed to take place in July. So are folks available to move our meeting to Thursday the 18th instead of Wednesday the 17th? Same time.
In
we can
July?
be in here.
July?
Yep, in July. I know it's a little bit of a reach here, but I wanted to sort that out while I have you all in one room.
July 18th.
Commissioner O'Brien, does that look okay for you?
That's a
That's fine.
Thursday.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
It's a Thursday
Yes,
at 3 PM.
correct, in this room.
Got it.
Okay.
Is that okay with folks?
Everyone's
Here's some
nodding?
nods.
Yep.
Well, it might interfere with my golf game on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but that might be really a good thing, so let's go with it.
Commissioner Gable will be absent.
No, by that point, I might look for any reason to stay off the course.
Yep, I got
Good
it.
to go, Jim. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
That was the last thing I had on my, oh, I'm sorry, you all should have, by the way, financials.
Yeah.
So I think that the chair and vice chair met with our bookkeeper this last week. And so he and I met again yesterday to iron out a couple of final things, but this is how we're intending to just show where we're at in cash transactions and so on. We're still working on some of the categories and cleaning them up. But if you have any questions or would like to see anything else, please don't hesitate to ask.
Any questions, board members?
Just to be clear, that's a big number. That is the ARPA money that's already committed for Switchback and for all these other projects.
In the,
Correct, yep, in the state,
balance
yeah,
sheet.
exactly, the balance sheet looks like a lot because of
Yeah.
the county's ARPA funds, a good chunk of them.
Okay.
And they're already earmarked.
Commissioner Hawkins?
The statement of activity, at the top it says February 21st, April 15, with a total. Or is that a year-to-date total?
Those
Or
are
is
the
that
activities-
just during that period?
Just during that period since our last board meeting. I just did
Since
the,
last
yep,
board
the
meeting.
transactions since the previous board meeting. I'm happy to do year-to-date or whatever you'd like, but
Well,
Carl
that's,
and I.
what- could you have a column if this is the month and this is the year-to-date
Sure.
amount?
Yeah, whatever is.
It
Yeah,
just
I
makes
like
it
that.
easier to track.
Yep, I can do just
When I'm
year-to-date,
looking at
running
this.
year-to-date. Sure. Yep. That's
Just
totally fine.
running year-to-date is fine.
Yeah.
One of the
Yeah.
reasons that we did it, by the way, this way, just is because prior to that date, we were still using the county voucher system.
Oh, yeah.
So we didn't
Okay.
have
You
any,
didn't
Yeah.
have that. Okay,
Right.
that makes more sense.
Yep.
Okay.
so, but now it will stack on 21st forwards.
Okay.
Any questions, Commissioner O'Brien?
No, that's fine. I agree with Commissioner Hawkins that we can, if we have the, next two columns, one for the month, one for year-to-date, I think that'll be clear.
Great.
Yeah. I like that.
Okay, I believe that's all I had, Chair.
I imagine there's a reason that the Tofty project isn't listed, because there's nothing to report today.
I'm sorry, there
or-
is something, it's been a very busy week.
Okay.
Yes, I received yesterday or the day before their proof of financing to close.
Ooh.
So now we're working on setting a closing date, and there are a couple of other items, last updates from civil plans that I need to receive, and then we'll schedule a closing, and then they'll get.
Break ground.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is
Thanks for bringing that up.
I lost, which project?
Temperance
Top
Trails?
Okay.
Yep, they,
Also,
so,
there's 3 names.
yeah.
Behind Birch Grove School,
Yeah.
I have,
With a path in between.
Birch Grove View.
which now is an easement for it. The path is an easement, so I have a whiteboard at home with all of these. I cross the name out, and write the new name on my whiteboard. Yes, that is,
There's
so,
seriously an easement for a path to the
Correct.
school? Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
yeah, so we wanted to address the school and the community's concern about that. So I went out with the surveyor, we marked the easement, and we marked the campground, and that is now carved out, and there's an easement for the whole area.
Yeah, great.
Yep.
I didn't think that one was ever going to work.
Yeah, Commissioner, when the houses are built again, I will gladly celebrate. But the bank provided me the pre-approval letter for the project again yesterday, and at this juncture, it's really, they're trying to decide, frankly, they have to come back to the county to do a final plat approval, because they have a preliminary plat approval, which means they have to finalize their septic design and their civil and all of that. But at least from our perspective in the development agreement, we're ready to schedule closing, barring a couple of minor things. And then I will say, please just go build.
You didn't have the heights on your updates.
I thought I did under
We
IRRR.
did.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, Diller agreed. Yeah, how are they looking for breaking ground?
That, they are also waiting on hard bids. They're starting to get some sort of trickle in. Also probably more than they were hoping. It's this theme. But Gary and I are working closely on closing the gap that was created by the lesser amount from IRRR. I think, again, we have that sorted out, at least what HRA does from our part. So there, right now, there's a lead time of about 2.5, 3 months for the producer of the units. So right now, they're finalizing terms with the bank. They have 2 banks that are kind of working with, as I understand it. All the short answer is the plan, and I think it's realistic right now, is to break ground in the summer, barring any incident with the financing piece. And then they'll try to get the shell up by the end of fall, so they can do finishing work inside. And the goal, and realistically, is to be done by the end of the year, so like in January 1 could be an open date for occupancy. That's the plan right now. So I think timing-wise, it will probably be Gunflint View, and then it'll be maybe a close tie between Temperance and the Heights for
breaking ground.
I think so, yeah. Yep. Yep. And then Bjorkburg, I'm not sure where that's gonna land yet. So they might, depending on where the infrastructure bids come back, they want to start at least infrastructure this fall so that they can start getting ready for staging next year for house construction. Yeah. I know. So if anybody's bored and you want to look at pro formas and spreadsheets with me,
Thank you for the invitation.
anytime. Anything else?
I would ask if commissioners have any reports or questions or anything they'd like to share.
Oh, Commissioner O'Brien.
Yeah, I'd like to just give an update on the work underway by the Clean Energy Group. So I think since our last meeting, what we've been working with the Heights developers as a pilot of sorts to try to review that design and just to better understand how it is going to perform with regard to energy performance, and if it's potentially eligible for some incentive monies through the IRA. I think that we've made some significant progress there. Have developed a tool that is sort of a spreadsheet tool that I think going forward we can work with developers of other projects to have them complete so that we get an early eye on what the plans are for some of the energy systems in the buildings. I think, Jason, I can take that offline with you, but I'd like to talk about how do we forward that and get that engaged with the other projects that are in the pipeline beyond the Heights. The Heights in particular, we've also identified an engineering group, and I think I mentioned this last time, that Minnesota Center for Energy and the Environment, and they've got deep experience in terms of certifying the performance of buildings, building designs. They would be I think for going forward, they, I think, would be an excellent resource for us as advisors, particularly for projects that are funded through the Minnesota Housing that have a requirement to meet Energy Star performance standards. With regard to the Heights project, I think the assessment of this group is that the current design will not meet the Energy Star performance, and the major reason for that is that the terminal heat pump units that are specified for each of the units are relatively inefficient and are likely, in fact, they have electric resistance heaters included in them. And given the combination of a relatively low-performing heat pump with an electric resistance heater means that they'll likely be operating on electric resistance heat for much of the winter. So that's disappointing, but there's no good alternative to a higher efficiency alternative to suggest to drop in place. So I think that the Heights is not going to be a candidate for Energy Star, and with potential access to those incentive monies. I think that going forward, I think it's a lesson learned is that we should engage with the developers as early as possible in the process, just when the designs are more malleable. And so I think a starting point for that would be to take the tool that we've developed internally and ask for some input from the developers for each of the projects. And that's it.
Commissioner, can you send me the updated tool when you have it ready?
Yep.
Because you've talked with the SIMPA about their.
Yep.
Okay, terrific. Yeah.
That's a tool that C-CLEP has developed.
It's a tool that Chris has developed.
That you have developed? Okay.
It has many parents.
I don't want to speak for the board, but can you send it to each of us? I mean, I
Yeah.
for sure want a
Yeah.
copy, but I think just for your information, if nothing else. it's
Chris should
interesting.
send it to Jason, and then Jason
To avoid
should
open meeting,
forward
yeah.
it
I'm-
to
And
avoid
then,
open meeting.
and then we can all advocate for it as we
Yeah,
go around, because
Yeah.
it's, if you get in early, it's probably a good deal for everybody concerned. So it's financially a good deal,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, the other thing that's interesting that's come to light is that I have heard and haven't yet confirmed that the Hamilton Habitat project was done with homes that are with modular homes that are specified as Energy Star. If I confirm that, I've been in touch with Anna, and I want to make sure that she's aware that there are likely some incentive monies that she's eligible
Fabulous.
for as a result of that. And then I've also seen and been encouraged by the fact that Dynamic Homes is now advertising a Energy Star modular home design. So I'm hoping that this is starting to take root, and so our job becomes more to just elevate the visibility of this option, because it makes it, it'll make a huge difference. The one design change that we did talk about at the Heights was that they were proposing a gas-fired duct heater for the garage, which just seemed to run counter to everything else that we were trying to get done in the project. So I think they've changed that and gone with an all-electric building. So
Thank you, Commissioner.
yeah.
excellent, thank you. I don't believe there are any committee reports. So, one more last opportunity for any comments, remarks, questions? Or a motion to adjourn?
Also move.
Second.
And a second? And then, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us from
Thank you.
wherever warm and sunny you are.
Yeah.
Albuquerque.